Hey everybody, it's Cyborg, once again joined by Temp, and we have the Caesar salad of the finale of the Injustice Comics, Year 4, issue number 12, to cap it off for Year 4. Alright folks, gotta make sure we say it. If you haven't read the previous issues, definitely do so, starting back at the very beginning of Year 1, because plenty of stuff happens, and we don't want to spoil it because we do callbacks from doo-doos, if you know what I mean. So anyways, let's get on to the actual issue. Full spoiler warning here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. It's been a long journey. We're almost there. We're in the final stretch almost.
Yeah, like the seventh inning.
Going a little crazy, but it's okay. All right. So we start off in a yellow submarine. A yellow submarine. Okay, we all live.
Well, that's sick. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
that's tight.
I didn't either, but I think of these on the spot when I'm doing these breakdowns as I'm looking at the panels.
It's kind of brilliant. I'm looking at it now. I'm like, that's fucking smart.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's good. But we're in the far side of Themyscira. We start off 15 minutes ago. Wonder Woman's doing a nice little monologue here, and yeah, they come out of a yellow submarine that's created by Hal. They're walking through Themyscira, and they're preparing for their fight with the gods. Wonder Woman explains that, you know, more than as Wonder Woman, she identifies as Diana, Princess Diana. And she's thankful for everything that she is, and her past, and her history, and her heritage, her family, and everything. But she can't stand by and let it happen. She can't stand by and let everything go down where they're essentially taking over Earth because of, or at least stopping Superman's reign over Earth. Whatever you want to call it. So her and her buds are going to put a stop to this, and we jump right into the fight once they get there. And we see Flash battling off with Hermes once again, and they're both just punching the crap out of each other a million times. And you see Hera's head put in a vice, literally. Yellow Lantern vice. Cyborg gets shot in the eye, his cyborg eye, with an arrow, which disables some of his functions. It's like hacking into him. And I like that Damian's just like, he's fighting with one of them, and he just says, "Get off me!" Like, it's like, you're on my hair, stop! Like, come on, don't be a prissy little bitch when you're in this fight. You're fighting gods. To the death. There's no, like, timeouts. I mean, I don't know. This is a funny quote. Get off me. Get off me.
Well, I mean, every time I see someone go, yeah, like Cyborg's doing in that panel right there, like, yeah. I don't know what noise you hear in your head, but I hear, yeah. That's what I always hear.
Poison. Poison.
Kind of, yeah. That's kind of what I'm hearing. It's hard not to giggle.
Yes. And so, yeah, Cyborg saying that he's being poisoned, and then Hal says he's getting plagued as well, a plague on him too, due to an arrow that he gets stabbed in the back with. And Hera's had enough, so she rips the vice off, and she does her little eye blasty thing, which is actually really creepy. Like, it's like poking through her skin, many holes, which I'm sure you're a fan of. Just like opening up with this beam of light coming out of her, which is just creepy as all hell. She's going to destroy what looks to be Hippolchia, because she says, "I've denied myself the pleasure of killing you for too long, adulteress." For sleeping with Zeus, which obviously created the Wonder Woman. And Artemis jumps in the way of the beam, much like a security guard would jump, or a Secret Serviceman would jump in front of the president. So she jumps in and makes the save for Hippolchia, knocking her out of the way, and she is essentially like, think Sue Howe's fatality from Deadly Alliance. She just gets,
her midriff is gone.
Yeah, her torso is obliterated from her legs, and she becomes two. And yeah, so that's pretty creepy. And Hippolchia yells out "murderer," Batwoman spoils things, and Harley and the gang come in to help out Wonder Mommy. So they have a nice little reunion.
I'm not surprised. I wasn't expecting to see Harley again for this year, but that was cool.
Yeah, nice of them to help each other out. And we'll touch upon this after we're done with the issue on our kind of reflection of the year. But Cyborg then hears beeping, and he realizes the nuclear missiles are coming. Nuclear, not nuclear. Nuclear missiles. Nuclear missiles. Come on down with the new nuclear fizz. All right, it's like a pop or something, or soda, whatever.
Like Surge.
Surge nuclear surge. Yeah, there you go. Should be a brand. Anyway, so they kind of realize, hey, oh crap, there's missiles coming at us, nuclear missiles, and we need to, stop them. And so Hal's like, don't worry, I got this. He goes up, no big deal, kind of dusts his hands up. Yeah, another day in the office for a lantern. As he's getting ready to go, reads the paper a little bit, and he goes up. We all know he can say, he gets shot in the back with an arrow. Great job. And Harley yells out, you freaking idiot! You just shot the one guy that could have saved us. But then Wonder Woman says, no, as the clock is ticking down 10, 9, 8, and she says, he's not the only one. She flies up in the air, and she lassos one, grabs onto another missile, and she is flying them as far up into space as possible. 4, 3, and all of a sudden she says, if this is the end, I am at peace with it. But as it's counting down to 3, and she's well up past the atmosphere, she's in space at this point. As it hits 3, Superman says, I'll take it from here. 2, 1, and he gets them far enough away from her. It blows up in the sky as she's falling, plummeting back towards the earth. There's a nice little moment here, I gotta admit. I mean, these awful characters, but they do have a nice little moment where he says, I'm not going to let you fall this time, and he catches her. So it's a nice callback to year 1.
When I saw her grabbing the missiles with a lasso, it looked like she was getting ready to throw them, and I was so scared for Pa Kent. You have no idea. But but yes, it was a good moment.
Oh, damn it, we forgot to make the note of the joke. Let's rewind. Okay, so when all the arrows are hitting all these characters, we notice one arrow is actually unaccounted for, and it strays. We see the mailbox with the Kent's name on it, and then the arrow flies through the window right into Paul Kent, which pisses off Superman, which brings them to these missiles. That's how we tie it all back together. I don't know how I missed that opportunity.
And it might also be worth saying that even though I realize that Cyborg's part robot, I'm pretty sure that arrow's in his brain. But anywho.
Yeah, we'll look past that, which he can't because
look past that. Yeah. Oh shit.
Yep. Okay, and Superman comes down and blasts Arrow guy. I forget his name. Cupid. We'll call him Cupid, the Greek god Cupid. He's the god of love. And he blasts him and sets down Wonder Woman. And he says, Hera, I've had enough. Tells Zeus to renounce his claim. And right then, Zeus comes down in a bolt of lightning. Once again, very cool imagery of the lightning. Very blue and bright and hurts the eyes. And he says, you dare invoke my name. And he has like a very just like demanding face. And he goes back with Superman and says, you know what? It's time that you die. This false god. He condemns him to death, but right before he can, the High Father / Neo just says no, and he puts his hand out, and he turns the lightning back towards Zeus. No, I'm just kidding. It's just, he puts his hand out and he says no, and that's where we're left off on that chapter, and we will jump into the next chapter because it takes place immediately, of course. And Superman's actually just going like, you know what? I'm going to stop you, and he's going to go in for the fight, but the High Father says, no, let's just do this. Let's discuss this without intrusion. And he puts a freeze frame. He pulls a Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell, and he puts everyone else on pause, and him and Zeus talk it out. He kind of tells him, you know what, you've been manipulated this whole time by Ares, by Hera, by Darkseid, all of this, and you're part of it. It's just here to destroy everything, destroy you, and this isn't our place here. And Zeus is a little bit reluctant on this. He stands his ground, but then Highfather mentions the source, which throws Zeus off a bit and says the source, but what if I refuse? And Highfather just says, well, it's the source. Deal with it. I mean, it's the source. That's all I have to say. Don't have to explain what the source is. It's just the source. You know?
We get that grand return of Zeus's thinking face from the previous issues.
Yeah.
The source.
And he says, fine. Fine. Let's go, wife. And he unfreezes everybody. And she's like, why? But he says, silence. You have tried my patience. he's like all cool with her, but then all of a sudden, no. Your talking is done now. Let's go. Poor gal. Poor bright face that just murdered somebody. Artemis. And
bright holes.
Yes, bright holes. But before Zeus can leave, we see Orion carrying Billy, and the Highfather explains that he has one more thing he must undo before he takes off. And he wants him to give Billy his powers back because they were not his to take from him. It's not his place. And he agrees, so he just has Billy say the word, say the word, and he turns into Shazam, Captain Marvel. Harley immediately runs in for the hug because she's happy. And yeah, old Highfather here deuces out. And Superman said, you know what? I'm going to go find Ares and choke him. So that's exactly what he does. He goes and finds Ares, he chokes him.
Metaphor.
He brings him to Darkseid. He says, torture him for eternity because he doesn't die. And if you ever, and I mean ever, show your face on Earth again, you'll regret it. So Ares gets punked out. We see him in the background being like tortured and like loved up on by all the Darkseid minion people, dudes. Forget their names.
Yeah, this is a double punk for Ares because he's punked because Superman just grabs him by the throat and takes him across the universe. And then he gets punked because like Darkseid's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with a fallen god? Yeah. And just Ares is just like, oh.
Yeah, he's just insult to injury, super burn there. And yeah. And then we end here on Orion. Well, we don't end on, there's plenty left here, but Orion and the Highfather kind of explain what the source is. It's just something beyond this galaxy. It's beyond all of this, beyond this universe. And so they want them to stay out of it, essentially. It's not their place to be in. And then we go to the board meeting that we're both a big fan of seeing, and they're like, oh, shush. Superman, he's, oh gosh, pooping their pants because of Superman, and that he's going to be upset for the decision that they made behind his back and that they lied to him. And he comes crashing in the wall while they're talking, and he threatens them and says, you know, you're all done. This ceases to exist. The council is now me and only me. If you even remotely show your faces around here or try and defy me, you know, you'll live to regret it. He takes all the nuclear missiles that were left, seemingly melts them right in front of the Hall of Justice and leaves them there, like as like a trophy, like a symbol. It's kind of like heads on pikes. Like, don't...
That can't be safe, but...
No, I mean, you see the radiation just like fuming off of it.
Yeah, it's we'll see how that unfolds.
Yeah, I mean...
I feel like that may have some long-term repercussions, but yes.
Then we have Superman and Batman talking through a monitor, and Superman assures Batman, you know, I'm not even tracing this call, so you don't have to worry about it. And Batman says, no, I don't trust you. And it's not... You would have failed anyways, but yeah, Superman says it's not a contest of egos. We were both manipulated by Ares, but I have to think that you and I can sit down and sort this out together. So he tries to entice Bruce to meet face to face, and that he promises him that, you know, just name a time and a place, and I promise you nothing will happen to you. I'm not going to hurt you. Let's just work this out and sort this out together, one-on-one. We cut to some mountainous area, maybe the Himalayas, who knows, and Superman's standing on a mountain waiting potentially for Batman to show up, but Wonder Woman comes in and she says he's not coming, Clark. He knew it was a trap. And then Superman says, I'll find him if I have to scour every square inch of the planet. And she explains that, you know what, you need to get over this obsession with Bruce. We need to look at the bigger picture. We can't be everywhere at once. We need help protecting the world from Batman and whoever else gets in the way. So it looked like it was a trap all along. So Superman is still just the biggest douche.
Which I like. That's probably my favorite part of the issue.
Yeah, it needed to happen because, if it was just all goody-goody, then it wouldn't have made sense given everything we've seen. He's still just trying to pull those strings and get Batman.
Well, it's cool for two reasons. A, it shows just how brutal and backhanded Superman's become, which is the obvious.
Yeah.
But the other perk is that I imagine that Bruce Wayne agreed to meet him and gave him the impression that he agreed. So, to me, it was kind of a fuck you from Batman.
Yeah.
Like, sure, I'll meet you, and he just doesn't fucking show. It's just a giant middle finger.
Yeah.
It's like, I imagine Batman gave him, like, these really specific instructions. Like, it's got to be 4 a.m., Clark. I am booked all the way until 4 a.m. It's got to be in the middle of the mountain at 4 a.m. I might be 12 to 18 hours late.
Yes.
What's up?
Yeah, the crack of dawn. Make sure you wait 12 to 18 hours. I could be held up. Come alone. Wear a blindfold. Wear your favorite Superman undies. Bring
a basket or something. Yeah.
Yeah, bring me these. Bring me a bag of just green M&Ms. It's just like it's just like super specific.
Batman is just in the lead mines of Alaska, just eating green M&Ms and laughing his ass off. It's funny. It makes me laugh. I like it.
Yes. Then we cut to Batman, and he's talking to Lex, and he explains that, we're outnumbered, Lex explains to Batman that they're outnumbered and that they need to get more people who aren't gods on the team, and Batman agrees that he needs to get some more recruitments, people that have a stake in Earth in general, and Lex says, perhaps you'll now consider that there is an entire segment of people out there who are powerful, have a stake in Earth, and could be convinced to join the fight. I'll call you back, because all of a sudden like an alarm's going off, and Batman's wondering what that is. So Lex runs off. We see him, and what could it be? Well, he finds out, and it is the pod that he had supposedly the Superman clone in. It is now empty. It's been broken, and whatever was in there is gone. And scene. Curtains. So overall, a strong finish, I thought, for year 4.
Yeah, honestly, the best issue out of year 4, I think, by far. I really liked this issue. And, also, well, there's also some of the weak stuff, too, and I kind of realized just how important some of the blunders and the bad art sometimes is, because that's what keeps you on your toes. I mean, good drama is great, but sometimes you need to see Cyborg get stabbed in the eye. Like, sometimes you need that. You need that ridiculous edge. It's just a lot of little things. I feel like this one flowed a lot better.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't nearly as, crammed, as, cluttered as the last one, like we said.
I thought we spent enough time in each place. We were each place for enough amount of time where I can get adjusted and enjoy it. That was not the case with the last issue.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a strong ending, and it was a nice bow tie on year 4, but also added a nice cliffhanger going into year 5, because I was going into this wondering, what are they going to set up? What's the big hook here? What's going to keep us wanting to read more? And I did not even think about the clone being stolen or breaking out on their own, because now that adds a whole nother wrinkle in all of this. So it's interesting, certainly interesting. And like you said, the call to have Superman once again be trying to kill Batman was a nice touch there at the end, because you weren't sure, is he serious, is he genuine here? They kind of got along here this last little bit to work against a common enemy, which I thought was a good move for year 4. I mean, you can't do regime versus insurgency for 5 years straight and have that be every single issue as Batman versus Superman, because that's going to get dull. So this was a nice break from that. This whole year was a step away from that, and we had more the Ares and the gods being more the threat in this take. So it was interesting having that this time.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even mind if next year they just don't even bring up Batman at all. It's just like a day in the life of the regime, or it's evil versus eviler. That would be kind of cool.
There's certain characters I still want to see more of. I want to see more of Hawkgirl. I want to see. I was
Yes.
really disappointed. One of my biggest disappointments of year 4, and I said this coming out of year 3 in the finale of year 3, is we only got to see Poison Ivy in one issue, and that was for like 2 panels, and that sucked.
Yeah,
She's just not helping the team, I guess. Like, she's just like, I didn't want to be a part of this anyways. You brought me in on a fucking plane, and that's what, like...
Yeah, she bailed pretty quickly and for pretty good reason.
Which makes sense now why Harley was there earlier, and we're like, what, is she above ground? Like, they're not really going to be able to hide from Superman that way. It appears Poison Ivy's probably not even hiding from Superman because she's not a part of the group. Harley went out of her way to go see Ivy at Ivy's home or whatever. So
yeah.
that explains more why, but it's just, that was kind of disappointing that she was there at the end of year 3 and the very, very beginning of this year, but she really just kind of after that. And I'm sure we'll get her, obviously, in year 2, or in the Injustice 2 comics. So I'm not too, like, upset by it, but yeah, that was kind of disappointing going into it. But overall, since we're kind of wrapping up the year, because the annual, as far as I'm aware, is, like all the other ones, his own little side story, completely separate from this. But yeah, I thought overall, definitely better than I expected it to be based on what we've heard. It wasn't great by any means, but it wasn't bad, as we've said. We've said it's been solid, like 6 out of 10, at best 7 out of 10, but no worse than 5 out of 10. So I mean, overall, not a bad year. I don't regret reading it by any means. So
Well, I didn't really know what to. I went in with no expectations. I tried to go in with expectations, but it didn't really work out that way. Because everyone told me year 5 was the worst year.
Yeah.
Everyone told me year 3 was really good, which ended up being like 70% true. Year 4, no one really gave me an idea. People just said that's kind of when the decline started, or that's when the writing changed. I didn't really know what to expect going in.
I guess the writing changed about like 3/4 of the way in year 3. Actually, the writer left 3/4. That's why, because somebody left a comment.
That explains
actually,
a lot.
Yeah, when we started saying in year 3 that everything started to seem like it was being rushed, that's when the writing changed. So, I guess that would explain that. So.
Yeah, good stuff though. No complaints might be my best summary for this year.
Yeah.
Well, okay, no, that's bullshit. I got one complaint. It was kind of monotonous. The whole Zeus versus Superman thing really started to drag at one point. But other than that, everything else was good. I like the Ares stuff a lot.
Yeah, it was good character development for Ares for sure, which was nice. And yeah, it was just a continuation of the series. It wasn't, I mean, is it really necessary? No, but do I regret reading it or regret it being there? Do I feel like it takes away from the series? No, not really. It's just kind of a continuation. It's more of, kind of that end of year 3 type of feel, which wasn't bad. It just wasn't as good as it's not the highest of highs for the series, but certainly not the worst by any means. So, but yeah. With that said, on to the annual and then on to year 5. So we will see you tomorrow for the annual, which should be its own little fun issue aside from this. We have yet to read that, of course, so we will have that for you tomorrow. And then we will be on to year 5, the big one that goes even more issues, and many claim to be not so good, so we'll see how that pans out. But you guys take care for the last year and the annual. Thanks for tuning in.
Appreciate it, guys.